So I've made it clear multiple times that I am not a fan of bootlegs. I have, in my time as a movie collector, purchased knowingly only two bootlegs. Those would be the Outfit, the 1970s crime thriller based on a Richard Stark novel about the Parker character, starring Robert Duvall, and the other one being Michael Mann's The Keep. Because that film is just not available on physical at all. However, I do make my own bootlegs. Films that aren't available anywhere, essentially. Or films that were not available at the time. There are still films that aren't available at all. Or were available and now are out of print. So the first one is the Ultimate Warrior. This is the Cinepocalypse collection. I did my own little cover and stuff, and I really like the way they turned out. There are three. The other one, the Ultimate Warrior, now I believe is available on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. The next one, number three in the list, is Rad, the BMX movie from 1983, or 1985, sorry, starring Lori Loughlin. This movie was released on Blu-ray, but only for a very limited period of time. So I'm kind of glad that I have a high-definition version of this. This was ripped from, I believe, MGM HD, so it's pretty decent quality. This is the back. I don't know if you can see the back. Spent quite a bit of time on the artwork. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. I mean, you can see the same on the back of the Ultimate Warrior. I did do my own covers. In fact, there's a DVD cover behind this. What is it? Oh, it's an ex-rental, an old copy of the French movie Taxi. I have the other copy somewhere. And the last one is a film which is actually coming out, I do believe, either Kino Lorber or I think maybe Shout Factory are releasing this at some point. And it is Ravagers from 77. It's a post-apocalyptic movie starring Richard Harris and Ernest Borgnine. This is presented in its original 2.35 aspect ratio. It's not. I just put that on the back. I just copy and pasted it. But yeah, so these are a few of my bootlegs that are in my collection that I have specifically made myself. I do have a couple more, but I cannot, for some reason, find the covers. Those are the movie 5, which is from 1951, I think it is. It was directed by a man called Arch Obler. It is essentially the first post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear horror movie. It's very good. The other one is, again, another post-apocalyptic movie. It is called The World, the Flesh, and the Devil. It was starred Miguel Ferrer and... no, not Miguel Ferrer. Mel Ferrer and... Is it Mel Ferrer? No, I think it's Jose Ferrer. And Harry Belafonte. And that's another fantastic movie that has just never been released on Blu-ray. And that is a Warner Brothers movie, weirdly enough. So I don't understand why something like that has never been released. And there was one more, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was. It wasn't that exciting. I did have at one point digital high-definition copies of the Star Wars despecialized editions, which I did make covers for, and they were burnt to data discs because it was easier to just run a data disc through a DVD or a Blu-ray player because it reads the same. I don't care for menus and stuff as long as they've got the film on the actual disc. That's all I really cared about. So my issue with bootlegs, and there's a bit of a grey area for bootlegs. Bootlegs are a weird one. Like, again, I don't agree with buying bootlegs. But I don't agree with buying bootlegs of stuff that is easily attainable or readily available on streaming services like Netflix or Disney Plus or Prime Video. I can understand that people want the physical copy in their collections. I don't really care about that. Well, I say I don't really care. Yes, it would be nice to have physical copies of movies that are streaming exclusives, or TV shows that are the streaming exclusives on Blu-ray or 4K. And that would be a fantastic thing to have. But to pay someone money to basically burn a downloaded copy to a disc and print some artwork is ludicrous. Now, if it's for films that aren't available, like Rad or Ravagers or The Ultimate Warrior, or the other one that I had was Quintet, which is a 1970s again post-apocalypse movie starring Paul Newman. I think it was directed by John Huston. I can't really remember. I can't find the case for that anyway. So those films that are hard to find, that aren't necessarily available on physical media already, yeah, I can fully understand doing something like that. I mean, I would rather not pay someone to burn a movie to a disc. I would rather source the film myself and burn and print and create the artwork myself, knowing that I haven't technically given someone money to do something that I could do myself. But it's the whole buying of something that is readily available on streaming. Yes, there are films that we all would love. Like, I know What About Bob has never been released on Blu-ray, or it had a DVD, but it's never been released on Blu-ray. And I'm just like, well, come on, Warner Brothers, you've got this in your archive. You can release it. People are clamoring for it. In fact, this is what I've said in another video. You don't have to do it yourself. You can license out these titles to boutique labels like Arrow or 88 or Scream Factory or Shout Factory. Is Scream Factory even a thing anymore, or is it all just Shout Factory stuff? To like these boutique labels who will do the job for you. You can take a cut, but just get these movies out there. That's what people want. And again, like I said, Blu-rays and DVDs is not a consumer market anymore. It hasn't been for quite a while. It is now. It's a niche collector's market now. It's the same as vinyl. Vinyl is a collector's market. It's a niche market. Most people will listen to music on Spotify or on Apple Music. But there's only a certain group or a certain percentage of people that will buy a physical copy of a record, of an album, on a physical copy album, being vinyl or CD. And CDs are actually coming back in sales. The sales are getting higher and higher of CDs as well, because people are discovering that it's nice to have the copy. It's nice to have a CD collection or a vinyl collection, or in some cases, even a mini disc collection. And it's exactly the same as having a physical movie collection. But again, like music, there are albums that we may never ever see because of rights, and just because the record labels don't necessarily see there being an audience for that record, so they won't press a record, or they won't produce a CD. It's the same with movies. If a studio doesn't see that there is an audience for that particular film, then why waste money printing or producing a physical copy that may only sell a very small percentage of discs? Now, we all love movies. We do. We all love movies, which is why we collect Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks. Now, we want to watch movies in the best possible way. Now, DVD, when it came out, was fantastic. We all loved DVD. That's where I think the majority of us started collecting, when it was DVDs. I mean, yes, we all had VHSs, and I think VHS has become more of a, again, that's more of a cult sort of collection product, whereas like DVDs is where more films were available, and obviously the importing was easier, especially with something like Amazon or Amazon.com or Amazon Germany. Importing was so much easier than trying to import a VHS tape from the States or from Japan or from other European countries, because the only way you could technically do it was through mail order. But DVDs and Blu-rays made movies more accessible to everyone. Yes, there is region locking. We all hate region locking. It is the bane of the collector's existence. Unless you're 4K, then you can basically just buy any movie anywhere in the world, because 4K is region free. But if you're subscribed to any of the streaming services like Netflix or Disney Plus or Prime, or even like something like Paramount Plus and Shudder and Tubi and Hulu and Max and stuff like that, and there's something on there that you really, really love, but it isn't available on physical streaming, like on physical format, I can't get down with you buying it, because it is something that is widely available, and just at the touch of a button. Whereas with something like Cocoon, especially in the States, Cocoon is one of those movies that apparently is very, very hard to find. It took me 2 seconds to find a physical copy on Blu-ray from Amazon Germany. It was €9.99. Yeah, but we want a US release. It's like, well, you gotta take what you're given, if you know what I mean. Like, there may very well be a release of Cocoon very down the line. Who knows? I think it's a Universal film. Maybe Universal have got an ongoing rights issue. I don't know. Maybe there's a music problem. Who knows? But something like Cocoon, if it wasn't readily available in other countries at reasonable prices, then of course I accept buying a bootleg copy. Now, there's a difference between a bootleg and a counterfeit. A counterfeit is a direct copy of a movie, well, of a Blu-ray. So it would have the exact same menus, the exact same audio commentary, the exact same compression and all that stuff. It is a counterfeit version of it. Whereas a bootleg is something someone has taken time to produce. It might not have the same quality as a real sell-through release, but it is something that someone has taken the time to put together for collectors. Now, I completely get that. Like, so say something like Rad. I know Rad was released. I think it was released by, I don't even know who it was released by. Maybe it was released by Vinegar Syndrome. I don't really know. Now, I would give my arm and a leg for just a Blu-ray copy of Rad. I'm not really bothered about the 4K. If I can get just a high definition, legitimate copy of Rad that isn't going to cost me through the roof, of course I would go for it straight away. I would replace this burnt on, I haven't even written on the disc, this burnt on DVD-R. This is a 4 gig DVD-R. The actual movie itself is 3 gig. It looks fine. Again, so yeah, something like that. I've got no problem with people buying bootlegs of films that are very difficult to get hold of. I cannot agree with people buying stuff that is available just because they want the physical version of it. So The Mandalorian, I know a lot of people bought The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 bootleg Blu-rays because Disney hadn't released them on Blue. And fuck you. Don't. You're only doing it to fill out spaces on the shelves. You don't need it. You're not going to watch it because it's not a legitimate copy of it. It is not a legitimate copy. Copy. Years and years and years and years ago, my brother bought a bootleg collection of all the Ghibli movies on DVD, and it was quite expensive. I think at the time for a bootleg, I think it was £49.99 or £49.50. It was a very odd number. The quality wasn't great, but it had every single Ghibli movie that had been released up to that point. I think the last one on the disc was maybe Spirited Away, but I'd already bought him for Christmas a legitimate Region 1 DVD of Spirited Away because it hadn't been released in the UK. And yeah, we watched the movies via that for a very long period of time until the Ghibli movies started getting legitimate UK releases from Optimum Releasing many moons ago. And so something like that isn't available in this country or in your country, that would be very expensive to import, then yeah, 100% go for it. Buy a bootleg copy of it. That's fine. It is preserving a genre. It's preserving film and cinema, and it is very cool. But if you're going to buy the Obi-Wan TV show, well, first of all, you need to get your head seen to if you're buying the Obi-Wan TV show on physical, because you need, it's not even need, it's you want a physical copy of that product, of that film, or of that TV show. It's there's never a need when it comes to movie. It's always want. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. It's not I need this, I need that, I need this. Now, the only time need comes into play when it comes to movie collections is when you have maybe the first 4 movies in a series of 6, and the OCD in you is going to be like, well, it doesn't feel right to only have the first 4. I need to get the 5th and the 6th. They may be shit movies. They may be absolutely horrendous movies. But at the end of the day, it's a collection. Like I've got Terminator Genesis and Terminator Dark Fate in my collection. I had to buy them to pump out the saga or the franchise. And I'm not going to watch Genesis again. Dark Fate it's okay. It's not the worst Terminator movie. But when it comes to bootlegs, I am very much against bootlegging stuff that is easily accessible. If you need to buy something, if you need to bootleg something that is unavailable, and someone has taken the time to source the video, maybe they've done their own sort of HD upscale, or they've done a remaster, or they've done a special edition like a fan cut or something, then yeah, that's absolutely fine. I thumbs up for that. I would high five you if you managed to do that. But bootlegs are not good until they become the only option. And I think for a lot of movies that we want, I think bootlegging is the only option. I can't see a studio going into production on a movie that I don't think they don't think will sell. I mean, they're releasing the Warner Archive releases in the UK now as sell-through instead of burn-on-demand. I think the burn-on-demand program that Warner Brothers did a couple of years back with the Warner Archives in America was absolutely fantastic. I know MGM, I think, did the same. I think Paramount did it as well, where they had burn-on-demand movies. I have a few, and it was the only way I could get a legitimate copy of The Outfit, which is one of the films that I bought as a bootleg. And I think more studios should look into doing that, to producing their archives, their vaults of movies. That there's 120 years of movies, not 20 years since fucking Iron Man came out or something like that. Like, movies are history. Movies are art. And the only way, and art is meant to be viewed. So if a studio decides that Batgirl is shit, but the people who are in it and the people who made it put everything into it to make it as good as they could with whatever tools or budget that they had, I believe it's up to the studio not to vault it and say it's a tax write-off. They need to allow that film to be seen. It might not be good, but we're the ones who have to make our minds up on that. And so if ever somebody manages to find a leaked copy of Batgirl, that's going to be the only way that we're ever going to be able to see it. It's going to be like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie from the early 90s, where it's never ever had a physical copy, a legitimate physical copy, but everybody has seen it via bootlegs because it is the only way to get hold of it. But that's just my 2 cents on bootlegs. I'm for it in a way, but against it in another way. It's a very grey area when it comes to movies, and just thought I'd pop that out. This was originally going to be like 10-15 minutes long, but I just started waffling again. Thanks everyone who has watched and commented and just thumbs up and liked the videos. Subscribe if you want. Watch me talk bollocks for half an hour. I'm using a different lens. I say a different lens. I'm using a different option on my camera, which is the portrait camera for video. And as I'm looking at the screen, it's looking pretty good, although it doesn't have, it's not in full because it is portrait. And so hopefully this will look pretty good. Sorry, there's no lighting on this side. I'm going for the gloomy cavern look. But as usual, I'm going to throw up the peace sign. Salute. I'm out. Peace.